thought I would share today on why riders actively avoid to use the motorbike lane. Not everyone, obviously, but there are, especially nowadays where the roads are very clear, but then even before COVID when the highway is very busy, there are quite a number, not everyone, but there are quite a number of riders, including me, who avoid using the motorbike lane, not every day, but only on certain times. So I don't think a lot of people realize why, especially the drivers who are always complaining why there are motorbikes on the main road, on the car lane, when there's a perfectly quote-unquote safe motorbike lane available to them on some of the big highways. So why not we speak about that a little bit, right? Well, the number one obvious reason is that, especially after a heavy rain, the road can get very slippery. Not only just very slippery, but there are certain sections of the lane or the road because they are built to avoid the car lane, right? So they are on a lower ground, which we are actually coming to the specific part that I'm talking about, which is right after the pump station. So because the road is right next to the river, when there's heavy rain, which almost every day during the monsoon season here, the road will get flooded. And if, let's say for example, the barrier here is not closed, sometimes you might miss it and you have to make a U-turn, and it's quite dangerous. And there are certain riders who try their luck to go through the road, but they will get stuck, they would ruin the engine. So this specific area here, as you can see why the grass are brown color instead of green, is because when it rains, I mean the grass just got cut, right? But when it rains, it can get flooded very easily, because now you can see we are next to the river. The river can get literally the same level as the bridge itself when it rains heavily. So when there's water, it's not safe for motorbikes because we are only on two wheels, right? And when you're only on two wheels, you don't have ABS, it can get very dangerous. Second reason, the entry or the exit, like here, you see, you can enter from the car lane to the motorbike lane, is not built safely, right? You see how it's very narrow, it's very steep, and you are entering into the fast lane, into the right lane, which is the faster lane, which is the overtaking lane, and that is right after the blind turn from the tunnel. So you can imagine if both parties, the one coming in and the one coming in from the car lane and the one coming out from the tunnel, are not being safe, are not slowing down, and they are coming at the same time, they might crash into each other, which I've seen very rarely. Of course, you can say the same thing about any other accidents, but I've seen it happen. And I had close calls myself where either I'm coming in or I'm just going on my own way, where I might be a little bit too close with the incoming rider. So basically, if you didn't notice, right, you see like the car highways, they are in the middle, right? Whenever they want to exit, it will be on the left. So left is the slower lane, so you would exit through Subang, you would exit through your whatever the smaller roads that you want to go to from the main highway. The difference for a motorbike lane is that because we are on the left, and when we want to exit or enter the bike lane, especially when we want to exit, we have to go to the right because we have to merge into the car lane. When we go to the right, what happens is that you are entering the fast lane, so you have to slow down because there's no sort of temporary third lane for you to just wait there. Like for example, right, there's no one behind me. If I want to exit, I would have to wait here, wait on this lane and then exit. So if there's an incoming traffic behind me, if there's an incoming rider, they would have to slow down, or if they didn't notice that I slowed down, they would crash into me, right? So that's not safe. So there's actually a good example on how to do it right in front, where you would exit through the Subang to go to Subang, SS15 and things like that. I'll show you guys. But in a lot of cases, a lot of the entry point and exit point for bike lane are they are quite dangerous. They are not built keeping in mind that you are using the faster lane, right? For example, you can see here I'm trying to exit to Subang, so what I have to do, I have to go out into the car lane first. As you can see, not only there's a small lane here where I can slow down, but it's also not the same lane that the car are using. With, you know, there's a small distance there that separates the riders and the cars before they merge together and exit through this highway to go into Subang. So a lot of the motorbike lanes are, you know, built into an afterthought. But I mean, I don't have the solution myself. Like, what you gonna do? Are you gonna like make a underground before you come back into the main road? Like, for example, here, right, you're coming in, I mean, there's quite a huge space there for you to like look out and things like that. But that's my whole point. Sometimes they aren't. So you're entering and exiting in a very dangerous position. Well, I'm driving quite slow, I just noticed. Number 3, which comes back into the afterthought and maintenance of the road. As you can see here, there's a lot of bumps, and this tunnel wasn't here about a few years ago. It was built recently and it always gets flooded, coming back to my first point. But the main point I'm talking about here is that the roads are not well maintained. There's a lot of, you know, branches, there's a lot of overgrown trees, all these potholes, all this drainage system. There's no lights in the tunnel sometimes. But anyway, let me exit my way here. So as you can see, I kind of have to make sure that there's no cars, there's no incoming cars, because otherwise I will merge into them. Now, I'm not against that riders have to slow down, have to do certain things, of course not. But in a big highway, you are not, a lot of people or everyone don't expect you to slow down, don't expect you to suddenly stop in the middle of the highway, because that's the flow of the highway, right? You're supposed to keep moving unless you have an emergency. And when you do have an emergency, you're supposed to go to the left side, to the emergency lane. So let me just go. So, yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that there are certain things that doesn't really allow riders to use the motorbike lane to the full extent. There are a few more key points that I missed out, you know. Things like, number 1, if you are trying to get to somewhere and you don't know the road, the GPS doesn't tell you how to use the motorbike lane. I know that Google recently updated the Google Maps. There's a motorcycle function there, but I haven't tested it out myself, so I'm not too sure. So you may or may not miss certain exit points, and you may accidentally have to, you know, make a U-turn up ahead and things like that. So just look at this. It's supposed to be a motorbike lane, right? But it's non-existent, to be honest. Like, it's not. You see how bad it's not maintained at all, and you're just, for what? Why do you want to go into that? You're just going through the smaller roads, and then you're going to come out in the same way, and up ahead it's just another dead motorbike lane, and it's not close or anything. So if you're new and you're thinking that, hey, I'm going to be safe, I'm going to follow the rules, and you just end up screwing up yourself, right? So, oh yeah, anyway, coming back to my point, yeah, that no one teaches you how to use the motorbike lane. Back in the driving school when I was there, I don't think anyone teach you specifically how to use the motorbike lane. How do you keep left and right? How do you, you know, see, it's like a bunch of leaves and things like that. How do you make sure that you're on the right track? You know, how do you exit and things like that. So basically, if you see riders that are using motorbike lanes and whatever that they're doing, it's just based on what they observe on a daily basis, right? Could be wrong, could be right, but that's how it is. It is what it is. So before we condemn all these riders, especially, like, I know a lot of big bikes, they don't use the motorbike lane, which, you know, I understand why. The roads are not big enough, can get quite dangerous, the turns are quite sharp and things like that. But before you go and attack all these riders why they don't use the motorbike lanes, perhaps all the responsible people and government and parties should look into why those who wants to use the motorbike lane avoids it at either on entirely or on certain times. So if those can be addressed, I'm not sure how long it would take and how long it would cost, but if those can be addressed, I'm sure and I hope that a lot of riders would, you know, use the motorbike lanes more often, because it is safe. It is safer than you are driving behind a lorry, things like that. You are driving next to cars who may or may not see you. So even at this point, even at this current road, or even at this current environment, I still recommend everyone to use the motorbike lane, right? There's no reason for you to not use it. So I'll probably make another video about it, so stay tuned, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.